Okay, mitzvah Yud Aleph Siman Yud Beis Sif Yud Aleph mitzvah, which is a strong word, but it's a mitzvah lorutz kishahaylech lebeis haknesses lebeis hamedrash l'shar mitzvahs. It's a mitzvah to run when you get to beis medrash or to do any other mitzvah. Shenemar nirdefel l'das es Hashem. Uksiv derech mitzvasecha orutz. L'chein afilu b'Shabbos mutar lorutz v'dvar mitzvah. Even on Shabbos, when we're normally not supposed to run, we're allowed to run to a dvar mitzvah. B'sayich beis haknesses, b'sayich beis hamedrash also lorutz. But once you get to the beis haknesses, then there's no longer a mitzvah for you to run. Right? Meaning, you think, okay, if you see this towards the front, so keep running. No, it's not covered beis medrash to run. As a matter of fact, when you get to the door of the shul, you're supposed to pause for a little bit. You shouldn't go in there suddenly. You should be scared from the hadar goina, from the splendor, or whatever the lashon is. Meaning, you should fear Hashem. That's like taking rishus. Right? We do that by matoivu. We add matoivu, and we do that by shachris. I don't know if we do that by. I'm sure there are those that do by mincha ma'aridu, but we do it by shachris. And then you go with fear and trepidation, I think they translated, when you're going in front of the king. In a city that the Yidden have their own streets, it's a mitzvah to put on tzitzis, to go like this to the shul. But if you live amongst Goyim, we have to go on the streets that are dirty. You're supposed to put on your talis and tefillin in the hallway of the shul. Because it's a great Indian to go into the Beis HaKnesses when you're already wearing tzitzis and tefillin. I think many people are not makbid on this. I asked my father why he wasn't makbid on it. He told me Rabbi Freifeld wasn't makbid on it, so he didn't feel that he should be makbid on it. So again, really, we should do this. Really, we should do this at home, but we don't do it at home because we live amongst Goyim. So I'm not sure, because what's a big deal to I live across the street from YFR. If I down YFR, I don't know what the big deal is to put the talis and tefillin on, and the streets are not really dirty either. It seems like we don't do it. It seems like even in Eretz Yisrael, people don't do it. Okay, Yud Beis. Let's say you're an Einus and you can't go to shul. And even other minyan kavuas that are not in your shul, meaning he's going on for what we learned yesterday, that really is supposed to daven in the set beis haknesses and beis medrash. Let's say you can't make it there, and let's say you can't make it to a different minyan someplace else. So Yisamas the Kavetz Yisora Nashim Yispal Al Kol Panav Beveisa B'Tzibur. Then you should at least try and gather a minyan in your house. And if that's not possible, Yispal Al Kol Panav B'Shosha Tzibur Mispalan Shazu Eis Rotzen. Then at the minimum, what you should do is, if you're davening at home, you should daven at the same time that the minyan is davening. Let's say somebody lives in a town that doesn't have a minyan. Then you should daven at the time that the tzibur is davening in the cities. And it means Shemona Esrei. Like, not like when we're at the beginning of davening. It means when they're davening Shemona Esrei. And does it have to be your regular shul? Seems like it should be your regular minyan. Fine. The question is, if you're in a different time zone, right? So if you're in a different time zone, do you daven at the time zone? The time that is in your time zone? Do you do it meaning, let's say you're in the West Coast, you normally daven 8 o'clock in the morning. So should you daven 8 o'clock in the morning, the West Coast time? Or should you daven 5 o'clock in the morning in the West Coast, because that's when it is 8 o'clock? I think it goes with 8 o'clock where you are, but I don't know. Let's say somebody has to learn or be busy with work that are important. We learn that you're not allowed to do anything before you daven. Then you're allowed to daven before the minyan, and you daven immediately after Netzach Chama. Fine, Yud Gimel. V'chein mi shechalash liboy. It's too difficult for you to wait until after the davening with the tzibur. Then it's mutter for you to eat in your house in order that you should eat. Now, so you see from here again from the Kitzur that the Kitzur shita is that it's better to daven b'yichidus and to eat after davening than to eat before davening in order that you have koyach to daven. Meaning, if there are makilim that hold that you could, you could eat before davening. That's if you need koyach to daven, right? But if you have koyach to daven, if you daven at home, then the kids are holds, then daven at home and then eat and then go to shul. Right? That's what he said before in Simon Ches. This halacha, another halacha that many people are not aware of, that it's dafka in your home. Is it mutter for you to start davening before the minyan? Meaning the minyan, you want to daven at the same time that the minyan is davening. But let's say you're in a rush or whatever it is, and you can start davening at home before. But if you're in a shul, there's a tzibur. It's also for you to daven before the tzibur. And even if you want to leave and daven in a different room, you're not allowed to do that either, because that's a bizayon to the tzibur to do that. So if you're in a rush, you should not daven before the minyan, right? Because that's a bizayon. And you shouldn't leave to daven in a different room either. But if you see that the tzibur is pushing up davening, then you should daven alone before Zman Tefillah. That you're allowed to do. Let's say you're a chayla or you have another einis, then you're allowed to start davening early, even in the shul.
This is talking about Shemona Esrei, right?
Shemona Esrei, correct. But yes, you can go ahead of the shul. You can go ahead for Brichas Kriya Shema and all that.
What about after Shemona Esrei?
After Shemona Esrei is no problem. But what's better is if you go home to daven. Now the Aruch Shulchan says that the Kitzur says that if you're a chayla, you're an einis, it's mutter for you to start early. That's only if everybody in the shul is aware of why you're davening early. Then you're allowed to do it. But if nobody in the shul is going to be aware of why you're davening early, then you're right back to the original din that he said, and therefore you are not allowed to start before. That's an important thing to know. If you know that you're going to have to leave before the minyan, then don't go to shul. So, it's a hard thing to fathom nowadays, like we discussed the other day, that there's like this pressure to daven with a minyan, but not always is going to shul the proper thing to do. Fine, Yudal, Yeshavim, 99% of the time it is the proper thing to do. Let's call a spade a spade. Yudal, Yeshavim, Shim Espalo, Tzibur Vesa Knesses, Vachakav Bo Tzibur Achel Espalo Sham. So this we don't keep anymore, this din, because the shuls are used to having multiple minyanim. But there's a Yeshavim that says that the tzibur already davened in the shul, and then comes another minyan, abundant 10 guys show up late. English liach tzibur hasheni lamlik v'makom shomer arishon. Then the new shliach tzibur should not stand by the bima, stand by the same place that the first shliach tzibur stood, because then it looks bad to the rishonim. Unless the first minyan already totally left, then you can, right? Meaning, because it looks like, the way I understand it, it looks like, oh, what, our minyan wasn't good enough for you, you guys got to come make your own, right? And if the first minyan took out a Sefer Torah and they read it, you should not, the second minyan should not take out the Sefer Torah a second time to read it in that shul.
See, he says it himself. Many kilas they're not makbid. Everything goes according to the minig of kila. So I'm assuming this is because of machloiks. That was one of the issues here. Okay, Tezvav. Kaifin b'nei ha'ir zeh zeh livnei beis haknesses a beis hamedrash. The cities can force each other to build the beis haknesses or the beis hamedrash v'liknei svarim lilmereim, and to buy svarim to learn. Now we don't do kfiyah anymore. We don't have the power to force people to do anything. And if let's say they're not getting a minyan together, so then they could force each other with knossos, right? They can fine each other. That people have to make sure they come to minyan, so that it's a play on words that the yisbatal tamid, the carbon tamid. That's what davening is for, is replacing the carbon tamid. So it's not proper if some days you have a minyan, some days you don't. And even those that are learning, that they're going to have to stop their learning, we force them to come to minyan. Davening and learning are two separate things. So the learning guys should not say that they need to learn now and they can't come help make the minyan, so they have to come help make the minyan. Now, I don't know if this applies if you have a new minyan that's starting to establish themselves and they want to take guys out of Besmedrish to learn. I don't know what to say about that. Mustama, they should not stop learning. And then, of course, you have the classic where a guy misses mincha in the middle of second seder and he says, should I go down with a minyan or should I just daven in yeshiva? That's a classic question. I personally answer them and say, if you never ever battle and you never come late, then daven yechidus. But if sometimes you go get a coffee and then 15 minutes later you've solved all the world's problems, then you should go down with a minyan. Okay, dine siman yud gimel, dine kedushas beis haknesses of beis hamedrash, the dinim of the kedusha of a shul uboy hey sifim. So Aleph, Kedushas Beis HaKnesses, a Beis HaMedrash, Gedoy L'Moed. The Kedusha of a shul and a Beis HaMedrash is Gedoy L'Moed. Muzarim Aleim Lira Mimi Shehu Shaychin Behem Yisparach Shemai. And we have to be fearful of the one who lives there, which is Hashem. Yosivim Mikdashay Tiro. Beis HaKnesses, Beis HaMedrash, Nikraim Gamkein Mikdash. That's called Mikdash Ma'at. Yosiv Ve'elehem LeMikdash Ma'at. V'dashinan Eilebat Knesiyas Abat Imidjoshes. So they all have chashivas. And he quotes here in the Prima Gadim holds that even as this Nashim and any other place that the Tzibur gathers to learn Torah, let's say the Eitzar Asfarim, the side places where they daven, all those have chashivas. But Lochein, also l'davrahim devarim b'telim, it is also to speak mundane matters in a shul or a besmerish. Vein v'chashmin chashbainas, and you cannot calculate calculations. Elashal mitzvah only if it's a mitzvah. Kegoin kupa shel tzedakah, for tzedakahs or kedayma, and similar things to that. So the question becomes, so why do we all talk in shul if we're not allowed to? Forget about talking during davening. How do we talk even not during davening? So basically, we say that the shuls in Chutz La'aretz, which have less kedusha than the shuls in Eretz Yisrael, were built on a tanai that it doesn't have kedusha. That's why you can make Kiddushim there. That's where we're allowed to talk, even though it's still not preferable. How this all works is quite technical. Gemara's in Megillah. But bottom line is the assumption is that they're all built on a Tanai. Without that Tanai, there would be also to talk. So, but that's the default in Eretz Yisrael. It seems like we say the same thing. And we have to be naig and covered to sweep them, or the ravtzam. Ravtzam means when they had dirt floors, to spray water on them so that they stay clean and neat. And madlikim and neiros covered, and you light neiros there for covered. That's probably the chassidim are very makpid on making sure to light neiros. Ein lanashim and banav haketanim. You should not kiss your younger children when they're in shul. She'ein roy laharisham ava acheres zulas avas Hashem yisparach. You shouldn't be showing other beings love other than to Hashem. So then there's a whole deal in the Paiskim. So it says that you're only not supposed to kiss children. Okay, what about kissing? You see a friend from a long time, or a chassan, or that or like that. So is that showing love? So a lot of the places can say that's not called showing love. If you wanna, you're congratulating somebody, you haven't seen them, that's it's not, it's just showing a it's covered in derech eretz. It's not really to show love. So memela, that's why there are those that you see. Many places say you're not allowed to do it, but there are those you see Rosh Hashivas that do kiss in this marriage. That's what they're being simulchan. All right. That's enough for tonight. It's never enough for tonight, but that's where we will stop. Thank you for tuning in, and everybody should have a good night. Surah Tavis.